Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see, making my return and trying to catch up with RPG A Day 2020. So this is day 7's prompt, the word couple. And I decided with this prompt, trying to think what would I couple up with as far as addressing this, and I immediately thought of Tracy and Laura Hickman as being major influences on not just Dungeons and Dragons in general, but but just the entire hobby of role playing games. I mean, they both added so much to storytelling that obviously it's something that I wanted to bring out in a video, specifically to that. So, as you can see in the graphics, I'm going to focus on Ravenloft in particular. Although Rahasia is their first adventure, along with Pharaoh, which I couldn't squeeze the picture in this. But I'm going to go through a brief description of their career together with TRS, and then move on to taking a look at Ravenloft in a little bit more detail, and then I'll come back around to the screen and wrap things up. So let me switch views here. Oh, and then I have a memento from 1985 Gen Con 18, when I met both Tracy and Laura Hickman, along with a slew of other people involved with DragonLance, at the time. And so I wanted to just show off that bit of memorabilia that I do have. So without further ado, I am going to switch over to the wiki on their career. All right, I will get to Ravenloft in a second. So I'm just going to focus on the TRS portion here. So together, Tracy and Laura Hickman wrote the original versions of the modules Rahasia and Pharaoh. Published them privately. They were published through, Pharaoh was published originally through Daystar West Media in 1980. They had eventually, moved over to writing for TSR, and the modules were released with under TSR's label. It was in 1983 that that really their major step into TSR legend, I'm going to say, is the module I6 Ravenloft. So Ravenloft was written by Tracy and Laura Hickman. He had also written 2 supplements at the time for Gangbusters, and then their contributions to the module portfolio and the shift that they contributed to module design sensibilities, away from pure dungeon crawl to a more cerebral adventures centered on intriguing plots, and that's really where not DragonLance, that comes later, but that's really where Ravenloft really expands. It becomes something very different than earlier adventures, and just a different approach to them. So I will get to the DragonLance. I assure you of that. So Ravenloft, let's take a look at it. And so here we have Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Adventure Ravenloft by Tracy and Laura Hickman. As I said, this was written in 1983, or at least it was published in 1983. And a few things that they do, very uniquely, and as a frequent dungeon master, I really appreciate this. they put Strahd's stats on a single page right at the very beginning of the adventure. So as a DM, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, all right, this is going to be the major adversary that the party is going to face. And the fact that it is, page one, bang, here it is, it really puts into my mind something that I'm going to think about as I'm reading through the adventure. I'm going to keep on, thinking back to this page or even coming back to this page and keep on referencing it. So one of the advances, that we're all experiencing now is that, we do have PDFs of this. So if I were running this adventure today, I would print this out. And I would always have this right next to me while I'm reading the rest of the adventure. That way I can keep on referencing back to it and just bearing in mind how unique this character is, how powerful this character is, and how the players in my group might deal with this character as I'm reading through the adventure, for the first time. Just keep on going back to it, back and forth throughout that process. There's a fortune telling component in this, and I just want you to pay attention to this disclaimer in the very beginning and put it in a time period as a reference here. Fortunes of Ravenloft is an imitation ancient gypsy card reading. It does not resemble any real or mystical fortune telling process. Fortunes of Ravenloft determines Strahd's goals and the placement of important treasures. This card reading can add a great deal of flavor to your game, and it makes Ravenloft different when you play it again. All right, so that very first sentence describing how it is an imitation of ancient gypsy card reading, they do that for two purposes. At least I believe that they're doing this for two purposes. 1983, you're almost at either the very beginning or in the initial months or possibly year of the Satanic Panic. And so I'm sure that, this was something that they were thinking about when they were putting this adventure together, and knowing that they're dealing with what might be considered the occult, and they're using Dracula or a very, a vampire, Dracula-esque type of character to play in that. And this is a really dangerous adventure, and it is at times extremely dark. And I can see that they're putting this disclaimer here to basically say it's not real. All right, it's not meant to be real. It's an imitation of that reality. And the same thing goes with, talking about gypsy culture, which is now really a big to-do about the handling of gypsies in this series of adventures. And, it's an imitation of it. It's a fictionalization of it. It's not meant to depict it in any negative way. But it is using the, if you're reading Bram Stoker, blah, and you're reading the original Dracula, you're going to see these depictions as well. So it's just a slight disclaimer to say, don't take this too serious. This is just a game, and it's imitation. And they go through the process of it. So this is a unique thing to do with the tarot reading cards and using a regular deck of cards. And it sets the treasures. It sets up the goals of Strahd. And later on, it's also going to set some other story components at a later time as well for the players. We go into the description of the lands of Barovia. It's actually not a very long adventure. It's about 40 pages long, possibly a little bit less. And the layout is very, very simple. There's, boxes that are read. There's information that is not read to the players. You have all your stat blocks throughout, so it's a standard layout for adventure modules. Phenomenal graphics. Characters get to Castle Ravenloft. And I'll focus a little bit more on the graphics as well. And I also don't want to spoil the adventure if you do plan on running it. I mean, this is a theme, a Dracula theme that you see over and over again in all of its different iterations of this story. This one's slightly different than the original and slightly different than any of the movies that you might have seen, but some of the same themes are still there. Primarily dealing with vampires, you're going to deal with a lot of undead, and in first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, undead are, the more powerful undead are no joke. When you're dealing with level drain, you're really suffering level drain. You lose an entire level. The map is just incredible, and it's huge. I mean, the castle itself is tremendous. There are so many rooms, so many challenges that you will face in this adventure. I mean, you can already see it. I was thinking when we were doing the forest, I was thinking of actually doing this forest for that word prompt, but I decided no, I'm not going to do both videos using the same adventure. But that's basically Ravenloft right there, and I'm going to switch back. So I mentioned DragonLance, and so I'm just going to show you a bit of my memorabilia to wrap things up here. So here we have my copy of Dragons of Spring Dawning, and I don't know why I brought this particular book to Gen Con 18 to have it signed, but this is the one that I did bring to have it signed. Of course, on page 1 here, I have Tracy Hickman down here, and I have Margaret Weiss here. And I've told the story before. I had met Gary Gygax, during just before one of his seminars, and he had given me a VIP ticket to attend a dinner with some of the Dragonlance people involved with it, and so that's how I got so many of these different signatures here. Jeffrey Butler. Jeffrey Butler actually told me that this was his favorite picture, his favorite drawing in this book, and so that's why he signed off on it. And I think the bulk of the rest of the signatures are in this last section here. So I have Michael Williams, Douglas Niles, Roger Moore on this page, and here I have Laura Hickman, Michael Dodson, Jeff Grubb. He actually put a line through Michael and put wrote in Jeff, hand wrote in Jeff and Larry Elmore. So really an incredible experience that I had at Gen Con 18, 1985. I was 18 years old. First time in Wisconsin, last time in Wisconsin. That was actually the last Gen Con I attended, with the exception of the more recent virtual Gen Con that I just attended. So it was it was really nice to get back into it as best I could, because the chances of my ever getting out to a Gen Con again, are probably much slimmer now than they might have been at another time. So that being said, I mean, this is my power couple, and I debated. I could have gone with Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss, but this is a true sense of the word couple, in my mind. So you have a married couple that are in the same industry, both writing together and just producing phenomenal pieces of work that yeah, and they're still writing today. And I recommend you take a look at their stuff because they're just incredible writers together. So once again, thanks for joining. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you have any comments, please leave your comments in the comments section. And I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. You stay safe out there, and you all have a great rest of the evening. Take care.